Do you know your rights? We are a group of 7 Whizz-Kidz ambassadors, and we were asked by the Office of Disability Issues to create something which would inspire other young disabled people to learn about the UN Convention on the Rights of the People with Disabilities. We have chosen to make this film. We wanted to focus on 3 articles that we feel are most relevant to us by using personal experiences.
Article 24 of the Convention says that you have the right to go to school and you cannot be excluded from education because of your disability.
Last year, again, when I started Isenwald, I did science, and because I'm not allowed to use Bunsen burners for the practicals because of health and safety, that I had to sit in the corner of the room while everybody else was doing the work. But now I'm in year 8 and it's changed, so I can do it. I can do all the practicals now because I have a different teacher. She's nicer. She doesn't mind me doing it, because she lets my partner go and collect all the equipment and set it up, and then I can do the experiment, which is more fun than sitting in the corner watching everybody else do the work.
I wanted to take French lessons at school, but because the class was upstairs and the teacher refused to bring it downstairs to me, I was told I couldn't do French and had to drop the subject. The school should have brought the lesson down to me. They should have met my needs rather than me having to meet their needs. I had a right to take French lessons the same as everybody else. Singling me out because of my disability and because I couldn't get up the stairs was unfair when I really did want to learn French.
I got bullied in primary school and it wasn't nice, and I just felt really horrible and down, and I had to see people to counsel and stuff like that. The first thing they need to do if they're getting bullied is tell somebody and make sure they know that how you feel and what's happened. Don't just leave it, because if you leave it, it gets worse and worse, and you get scared and scared, and then you're trapped and you're not having any friends and you just get lonely.
A recent ODI study found that 28 out of 100 disabled children couldn't take part in education as much as they wanted to. How does this make you feel, and what do you think could be done to improve this, taking guidance from Article 24 of the Convention?
I think that statistic makes me feel really bad. I don't think it's good enough that so many young people don't feel that they can take full part in education. And I think that probably hints at a lot of different problems that young people have accessing after school activities, accessing full curriculum within their schools, accessing leisure facilities, accessing higher education. You know, I think there's a lot of different issues that young people are raising in that one statistic, and all of them, for me, mean that we're not realising the true potential of young disabled people in this country today, and it gives the an enormous opportunity and obligation on the government to really review how we're supporting young people through our education system so that they can participate in full and really reach their potential, and particularly get the qualifications they need, because for all of us, without good qualifications, it's difficult to get the good jobs and to live the sort of independent lives that we all want to live.
What advice would you give to a young person that is dealing with an inaccessible or unhelpful school?
Well, the governing body has a very clear responsibility to every child within a school to support them to have a good education, and an education which is going to meet their needs. So any child who is finding it difficult to get the education that they feel that is going to suit them within their school would first, in the first instance, I hope, be able to talk about it with their teachers and with the head teacher. But then if they don't get a resolution that they and their parents are happy with, then to be able to talk to the governing body. I mean, it's when you read through the research, it's clear that many young people find it difficult to get access to the sort of education that they want, particularly whether it's access to things like leisure facilities or access to after-school activities or indeed access to higher education. So we've still got, I think, a way to go. The legislative framework's in there, but we've got to make sure that teachers really, stretch every young person in the school. Whether they're a disabled person or not is irrelevant. It's about stretching that young person. And I think that's about setting the attitudes and making sure that people really, see the potential, they don't see the barriers.
Article 30 says that you have the equal right to take part in the arts, sports, games and fun activities without discrimination.
I went to my local cinema very recently, and it's a new building. It's been custom built. Had a lot of money spent on it. The disabled seating was right at the very front, and the screen was on top of you, so you felt like you were straining your neck all the time while watching it. The people who built the cinema wanted disabled young people to come. They just didn't know how to approach the seating, and they didn't have that level of knowledge. And if they would have just asked our opinions, everybody would have been happy with it.
Every year with my family I go to the Download Festival. It's an outdoor music festival. We camp out for the weekend and they put on extra accessible features such as a disabled portaloo, disabled porta showers, adult changing units, and they have plastic ramps that they put down to make into paths so you can get from one end of the camp to the other fairly easily. I would say it's a very good example of what can be done with many little changes. It makes a lot of difference when you're disabled. Having things thought out properly means an easier and more enjoyable weekend for you.
There are new buildings, like shops, that are not accessible. As Minister for Disabled People, how could you assist with law enforcement to support legislation?
Well, there's a very clear framework that everybody needs to follow, whether they're providing a service through a shop or in any other way, to make sure that they've made what's called a reasonable adjustment to their service to meet the needs of disabled people. Reasonable adjustments sounds like a bit of a vague term, but it isn't really. It's about what a particular organisation can do to make its services more available to everybody, whether it's somebody who's a wheelchair user or somebody who may have communication difficulties. And I think again it's about making people aware, and one thing that young people can do is make local service providers aware of the problems that they may encounter. And what I find is that when a shopkeeper becomes aware that what they're doing is not making life easy, actually they're often very pleased to try and help and support and make the changes that would be necessary. So I would say that it's often up to us, isn't it, to be able to voice those problems in a constructive way so that change can happen.
Article 33 says that you have the right to participate in making sure the UK government follows the convention to ensure the rights of disabled persons are respected.
When I met my MP, she was really nice and I really felt like something was going to be done, even if it's just knowing that I know that I've been listened to and nothing comes out about it, but at least I feel that I've been listened to and I'm not being shoved in a corner. Meeting the MPs just boosts my confidence.
I believe everybody has an equal right and it can only make the project or whatever you're doing better. But if they do say no, you can use the article in the convention to say, right, excuse me, I said, please can I join your group swimming club? My views must be considered in equal weight to everybody else's.
To what extent do you think that the knowledge that the rights of young disabled people is readily available in an accessible format?
Well, there's obviously a lot of law around making sure that things are available in a good format for disabled people. I hope that everybody tries as hard as they can to make sure that that happens in practice. And wherever it doesn't happen, then I think we need to make sure that we put pressure on to make the process work more smoothly, because it's really only by disabled people being able to be fully aware of things like the UN Convention, like the Equality Act, and what that means for them, that we can make sure that people really understand that strong legislative framework we have in the UK. And I think it's important, particularly for young people, to understand that.
Nothing about us without us.